When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject on the line. User TinCanman88. Posted August 19th, 1998.
Most folks don't know it, but payphones have their own voice. Press your ear to the can and you hear the low 60-cycle hum under the dial tone. Proof the line is alive. I've been in a bucket since 19, tracing pairs on a metal clipboard. After a while, you can tell good copper from bad. The whisper of a wet splice, the click when a route takes clean. Dispatch came over the truck radio near dusk. 14, you still out? Dead payphone at the old Hudson's turnout on County 11. You're closest. I wanted one easy fix after a day of static, so I rolled. County 11 is a road that remembers, kudzu on fence posts, ditches keeping secrets. The turnout had a chalk pink soda machine, a bell can bolted to a pad, and the ghost rectangle of a service bay in the weeds. One streetlight leaned over it, buzzing. I tapped the hazards, grabbed my orange butt set, and opened the terminal. First, I lifted the receiver. Nothing. No tone, no hiss. Dead. I clipped red to ring, green to tip, thumbed monitor. The wire kicked in my ear. Not tone, breathing. Fast and ragged, wet clicks of swallowed crying. Operator? I heard myself say. Hello? Please, the girl whispered, close as if inside the shell itself. Please don't hang up. I'm not hanging up, I said. Where are you? I don't know. He said it was just a drive. Who? No answer. Fabric scraped, a small body trying to be smaller. I did what I know how to do. Keep the line alive. What do you see? Lights? A sign? Dark. Smells like oil. His radio's on low. Tinny AM bled through. Some man droning wheat futures. A turn signal ticked. You want a phone now? No, I called before. He stopped at a phone to check his card, then he took me back. Do you remember the place? A swallow I could hear. Hudson's, painted on the window. Window was broken, a soda machine with the red stripe. I looked at the dead station 20 yards away, and the bleached stripe. The hair on my arms lifted. What's your name? I'm Hank. Cautious beat. Lynn. You called this phone a little while ago, didn't you? You had change? Quarters from the snack bar. When the line came on, it sounded like the ocean. The coin slot was dirt clogged. The card reader pried years ago. This can hadn't made a call since '88. I didn't say it. You in a car now? Yes. Bare breath. We just passed green numbers, 7 and 3. Mile 73, I muttered. east toward the river. Tell me about the car. Bench seat, window crank metal, or plastic? Metal. Cold. Clock in the middle? Yes. Shifter on the column? I don't know. He said not to talk. Don't mind him, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm calling folks who can help. You're not alone. I thumbed the mic. Dispatch 14 at Hudson's on 11, live voice on a dead can. Female eastbound near mile 73, possible abduction. Copy. Hold what you have, she said. And other voices woke. Sheriff, a highway patrol. Back to Lynn. Smell anything now? He's turning. Smells like the river. Tires slap seams. A bridge. Her voice came through cotton. He said he's almost done. I wrote it in my spiral. Almost done. What are you wearing? Yellow shirt, blue shorts. My shoes, they're white canvas with a rubber toe. Pictured the Converse by our back door. Yeah, she said, then made a sound like falling. Stay with me. In Shards, she gave me the summer. Pool, snack bar, a boy who said she looked older, parking where the light doesn't reach, him leaving her to call while he checks his card. A woman with 2 kids ran in for cigarettes. Lynn thought of her mother at home with meatloaf in the kitchen radio, waiting on a call that wouldn't come. We're going down now, she said. Bumpy. Gravel? I listened. Then into the mic. Be advised, off the highway, likely Levy Service Road east of 73. Copy. Units en route. The streetlight sang over my head. Do you see the moon, Lynn? No. What do you hear? The car's guts shifted. A door? Then distance where a person should be. Lynn? My voice bounced off plexiglass. Lynn! She came back small. I can't see. I can't. Cloth over your head? Yes. Hand under it? Breath broke. No. I pressed my palm to the can like steadiness could travel through aluminum. The rest came in snapshots. Radio coughing mileposts, hounds barking in a truck that hammered by, my shadow thrown long across the grass. Almost done, she said again. Wrong in a girl's mouth. Then, a splash, heavy and far. Another, a man's grunt at the end of work. My stomach understood and my head refused. No, I said to the night, no. Unit 3, 1023 at Levygate, no vehicle. Unit 4 at 73 eastbound, negative contact. Lynn, I said, noticing I'd wrapped the butt-set cord around my hand white. Are you with me? Yes, she said, and the voice came like water through stone, softened, inevitable. It's cold. Where are you? I knelt. Gravel bit my knees. Down. It goes down a long time. What do you feel? Rocks, mud, something like hair. Pause. He comes back. He keeps coming back. Who? The man with the change jar. He likes the sound. Headlights washed the turnout. The sheriff's Bronco slid in. 2 deputies half ran. You the caller? The mustached one asked. She's on my set, I said. She's in the water. We all turned toward the levee like we were pulled by wire. Copy, the deputy said into his mic, checking the spillway now. I mashed the set to my ear. The crickets stopped like somebody lifted a needle off a record. Lynn? Nothing. Lynn? A few last bubbles, then the nothing of open copper, flat and cold. 2 days later, they found a car nosed into weeds at a break in the levee road 30 miles east. Plates pried, trunk scrubbed. The sheriff gave me the look men trade after funerals, no words worth a damn. For a week, I rode 11 at odd hours, fog low in the morning, fields blue after supper. I stopped at the turnout, clipped to tip and ring, and got what I should. Dead air. The vendor rolled up in a van. Ain't been hot since '88, the kid said, tapping the open relay. He let me keep the coin return flap. It sits in my toolbox like a bent relic from a chapel nobody visits. That fall, the radio hooked me out of sleep at 2 a.m. 14, you on? We're getting hum at Hudson's. Vendor says it's just the cans singing. Mind rolling by. The moon threw the field silver. The streetlights buzzed. Moths battered the globe. I clipped in because I always will now. At first, nothing. Then, faint as a memory, AM weather east of here. A turn signal tick, the hitch in a girl's breath, and my own voice, months younger. Lynn, my name's Hank. You're not alone.
Subject, used car. User, Lot 100. Posted, November 11th, 1997.
Name's Lyle Dandridge. I sell cars, used ones, beaters mostly, stuff with enough shine on the hood to distract from what's rattling underneath. Some folks call it crooked, I call it surviving. See, people don't come to Dandridge Auto for integrity. They come because they can't afford the big lots over in Decatur. They come because they're desperate. They need wheels for work, school, hauling kids, and when folks are desperate, they don't ask too many questions about a worn timing belt or a leaky transmission. I give them what they want. Keys, paperwork, a handshake, and a smile. Ain't my fault if it doesn't make it to payday. It was late February 1996. Business was solid. Tax refund season had started early for some, and I just moved 3 units that day. One of them was a cherry red 89 Accord with a radiator I'd patched using gum and a prayer. I walked away with nearly $1,000 in cash. It felt good, felt like winning, so I did what I always do after a good day. I hit Joni's Diner off Route 17 next to the liquor store and that busted Exxon station. They serve a meatloaf special on Thursdays that soaks up guilt better than antacids. I slid onto a counter stool, unwrapped my silverware, and waved Joni over. She topped off my coffee and yelled my order back to the kitchen. That's when I noticed the guy beside me. He hadn't been there when I sat down. Or maybe I hadn't looked. He was a quiet sport, thinner than most, gray hair, worn button-up shirt, face like weathered paper. He stared straight ahead, eyes fixed on nothing. I figured he was one of those types who talk to themselves, or worse, but I kept to myself. Then he spoke. "You ever sell cars?" I blinked. "Buddy, I live on the lot." He nodded once, slow and deliberate. "My daughter bought one. Corolla, used, about a year and a half ago. Solid car, I said, and not really thinking. He didn't react, just kept talking. There was a busted tie rod, easy fix, real cheap, but she didn't know. No one told her. She was driving home from night class when it snapped. Lost control, went into a ditch, car flipped 3 times. I stopped chewing. A meatloaf sat in my mouth like a stone. She was 17, he said. Graduating early, wanted to be a teacher. I didn't respond. Didn't want to. This guy was dropping his grief in my lap, and I hadn't asked for that kind of weight. I mumbled something like, sorry to hear that, and turned to get Joni's attention. When I looked back, he was gone. Not getting up and walking away gone, I mean gone. No sound, no scrape of stool, no jingle from the front door. I stood up and looked around the place. Half the booths were empty. I walked to the end of the counter and asked Joni, where'd the guy next to me go, the older man? She looked at me like I'd ordered pancakes with a side of crazy. Hun, you've been sitting by yourself. No, I said, pointing at the stool. He was just there, talking about his daughter's wreck, gray hair, button-up shirt. Joni frowned. You feeling all right, Lyle? I left a 10 on the counter and walked out without saying another word. Told myself I was just tired, overworked. Maybe the guy had been real and left quick. Maybe Joni just missed him. Maybe the lighting was weird. I stacked up excuses like poker chips, just enough to bluff through the doubt. Then I got into my car. I slid into my Cutlass, turned the key, and adjusted the rearview mirror, and then I saw her. Just a flash. A girl in the back seat, pale, blood on her temple, eyes wide, filled with hurt, long hair hanging damp and tangled like she had just come up from underwater, and then she was gone. The only thing left was a whisper that seemed to settle in the air around me. Why didn't you tell me? I just about had a heart attack. My chest clenched. I spun around, hands grabbing at the empty seat beside me. Nothing. No footprints, no smell, just me, shaking and cold in a car that suddenly felt like a coffin. I told myself it was nerves. Too much coffee, old wiring in the dome light, static in the brain, anything but what I knew it was. And guess what? It didn't stop there. Next day, I was showing a young couple a Chrysler Town and Country. The dad poked around under the hood, real skeptical. The mom was testing the back seats for car seats. Their little boy, maybe 4 or 5, stood near the passenger door just watching me. And then he pointed at the windshield and said real soft, "She's crying." I knelt down. "What did you say?" "The girl inside the car. She's crying." His mom called him back, and they left without asking about price. That night, I saw a kid crouched on my porch steps. Couldn't have been more than 10. He wore a blue Cub Scout shirt stained with grease, and when I flipped on the porch light, he vanished, left 2 small handprints on the dust-covered hood of my Oldsmobile. I remember a Dodge I sold last summer. Rear brakes were bad, just enough bite to roll it off the lot. A family of 5, and I heard later they got hit crossing the train tracks near Oglethorpe Road. Someone apparently didn't stop in time. Well, whatever this was, it kept happening. A woman in a veil sitting on my office couch, a boy's face reflected in my side mirror when I backed out, a shadow that hovered at my shoulder whenever I leaned on the counter in the showroom. They didn't yell, didn't scratch or moan, they just looked at me like I was the last face they saw before the lights went out. It got so bad, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I stopped shaving. I stopped locking up the lot at night. Sometimes I didn't even open, and I just sat in my office and waited for nightfall, afraid of what I might see, but more afraid of what I might not. I called Father Brennan over at St. Agnes. Asked if he did blessings for business. He came, sprinkled water, muttered Latin, and asked if I was all right. I lied. Told him it was just a slow month and that I was tired. He handed me a pamphlet and told me to find peace within, whatever the fuck that means. Tonight, I went back to Joni's. Same stool, same meatloaf, but I didn't touch it. I just sat and watched the front door. No one came in, but I could feel it. The weight. Like he was sitting right there beside me again. That father, that look in his eyes, and I knew what he wanted. It's what they all wanted, not revenge, just the truth. The girl was probably Mallory Fay. Bought that old Geo from me in '95. Her dad tried to talk her out of it, but she was so excited. First car. She hugged me when I handed over the keys. 3 weeks later, I heard about a wreck near Bowling Green. Didn't connect the dots until now. I don't know if it's hell coming for me or just the weight of it all crashing down like a busted axle, but I promise I won't lie again. If I see you on the lot, I'll tell you what's wrong. I swear, every scratch, every cracked hose, every lie baked into the price tag because they're still riding with me, watching and waiting. And then the next time I see the mirror move on its own, I won't be looking back.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.